my name and say, well, you know, this isn't surprising because I happen to know this teacher and he's been charged with DUI half a dozen times.
Well,
That's totally, I mean, that's just, yeah, exactly, that's just libelous. And we can delete that under the terms of service. But if it's just, you know, calling them names or being totally insensitive to the tragedy of some family who's lost a loved one and another family who's now jammed up legally, it's a dicey situation. I will say that in this case, we deleted some comments, but we, for the most part, left them as hurtful as they were. The law, according to the established precedent on this, is that we have no legal liability for things that are posted on our site by our users. We're in that way, we're sort of like the phone company. We transmit, we're a transmitter of the information, but we don't have liability of the information. As long as it's not our information, as long as it's not one of our reporters, one of our paid employees, or even a freelancer who's posting it, it's just somebody in the public, general person in the public, registered, created a username, went online, posted something, we're not libelous for it, unless we begin to edit those things or we begin to pre-screen them. Because as soon as we start to pre-screen what's being posted, now everything that gets past our screen has our stamp of approval on it. So it's a dicey situation, but that's where the law is at this point.
What incentive would a news organization like yourself have for allowing people to post those comments? Because 9 times out of 10 they usually get real ugly, you know, real soon. So like when you're on a blog, like a citizen journalist, you expect that sort of thing. But like with the legitimate news organization, like I really honestly don't care about everybody else's opinion. I just want, you know, the news, the facts. So like, what would be a reason? Like, is it competition? Like, why would?
Well, that's a really good question, and it's something that I think we're beginning to see the pendulum swing in a little different direction. We've seen Channel 4 took commenting off of their site just a few weeks ago. There's some other newspapers, some smaller newspaper companies that have removed comments on any of their news sites for that very reason. The way I like to think about it is, if you're going to, what we're trying to do is cultivate a community. One of the things that we feel as a newspaper, even though there's hundreds and thousands of sources for news and information out there, if we can maintain our credibility and our fairness and accuracy, and provide readers a place where they know if I read it on the Grimble News, it's going to be accurate to the best of their ability. And then we can become more of the curators of what's correct and what's truthful and what's not. We can try to develop a community of users around our products and provide mechanisms in which those users can network and coordinate and dialogue amongst themselves. We become more just a facilitator. And that's why you see sites like Moms Like Me, a niche site we have for parents of small children, moms specifically. And it's all in an effort to try to build a dialogue and a community around our product. With news stories, part of that is we are interested in what people think about that news story. And you know, there are a lot of people who post things on our stories that are very intelligent and have bring a new perspective or even firsthand knowledge to a specific issue. So there is some value there. The challenge is that, as you point out, it quickly sort of degrades into this name calling and back and forth. My general rule is after about 5 comments on any given story, I quit reading them, because at that point they've exhausted all the value and they're beginning to go after each other. And we've also moved, a couple years back, we made the decision to move the comments from the bottom of the story to a separate page. So, because we got a lot of complaints from people who said, look, I just want to read your stories. I don't want to read all this trash. So, you got to click on a link to actually get to the comments. I think commenting and building that community are really worthy goals. I think the problem is that from a resource perspective, in order to build an online community, you have to cultivate it kind of like a garden. It's this constant cultivation, this constant weeding and planting and pruning and all this stuff. And if you don't do that, if you just sort of build it and then let it kind of do its thing organically, it's just going to go to weed. It's just going to turn into something horrible and ugly. And newspapers, frankly, don't have the resource that they need to really cultivate vibrant, civil sort of discourse. And I think that's why we've seen a lot of newspapers start to think about maybe doing away with comments. We actually outsource some of our moderation. We have an outside company on any of the links on our site where you can leave a comment. Each comment has a abuse button, like you can see on Facebook and everywhere else. And when users click on those abuse buttons, it sends reports to this outside company that we've paid to review those comments and either alert us to something that needs a local decision or deal with it. I'll give you another example. About a year ago, for any of you from Greenville, but about a year ago there was this huge issue with hundreds of, according to police, maybe 1,000 teenagers who were gathering outside or inside Falls Park in downtown Greenville. And the police were claiming that, they were unruly, and it was fights, all kinds of trouble, so the whole curfew idea came about. And as part of that, the police released the surveillance video of these, large crowds of people. You can't really tell exactly what they're doing, but they released this video to make a case that there's just throngs and throngs of uncontrollable teenagers. So the question is, do you put that video on the website? What's your position?
I'm going to go ahead and say this. It didn't even matter because I was just visiting home. I remember exactly what they were talking about. I had just come home for the first time in a couple months, and it was chaos out there. And before I even got back to my mom's house, not even 15 minutes away from downtown, logged on Facebook, videos were everywhere. Like Facebook, twit pics, everything, whatever you could imagine, it was already out there before you even found out about anything from the news that was coming on later on that night. And it was just, chaos. And I feel like in situations like that, I mean, like you said, it's already out there, you might as well just go ahead and do it anyway. So, put a disclaimer on it, say you might not like what you see, and go for it.
What do you say?
I don't think I would have posted that video. I mean, the law enforcement, they wanted a curfew, they wanted to mandate a curfew, and if they wanted the community to support it, they put this video on there as evidence that they needed. But it's easy to get people to agree to what you want if they only have a small sample size to choose from. If they really wanted to be accurate about it, why not release surveillance videos for, say, every day over the course of a week and see how many days during that week or see how often these people gathered there. Give people a larger sample size to choose from or to view to make up their own minds. I mean, if they only see one video of a crowd gathering there, then it's easy enough for them to make up their mind and say, okay, this is a problem. But they're making that decision or making that assumption based on a very small sample size video.
So they can make it look like whatever they want.
They can spin it to make it look the way they want to.
In their defense, though, I have to say that is over the course of time, though. Like, this is a constant complaint. Like, it's a constant complaint. Yeah. High school kids go downtown and they cause a riot. It was 4 years ago since I've graduated, it's been a problem. Even at the schools, it's been a problem. Like, just when large groups of people get together, it's a problem. And I'm surprised that they were just then putting out videos of it, because I mean, I laugh about it now because I look back and when I was in high school, I was a part of it. But when I look, you know, when I'm there looking at it, I'm like, oh my God, this is so funny, they're still doing this. You know, and I
Well,
understand.
did you think the characterization by the police was an accurate characterization? I mean, was it a bad situation?
From what I saw the day after, when I read the actual story, from, you know, the language they used, you know, they were simply defending, you know, because people do live downtown.